bro. And people don't realize this, but this sort of shit really happens much more often than you really think. You know, I forgot who else. There was also some other up and coming artist that, well, I don't. He ain't no longer an up and coming artist because they shut him down quickly. He took out songs from Whipped Cream and other artists as well and put it as its own.
Oh my god!
So he didn't even claim it, and then and the thing and his
argument. How do you think people are not gonna notice?
His argument is like, no, but these are mine. Like, look, see how legit I am. I got these so and so blue check marks following me, liking my song. They saying it's dope and commenting on it, and people are like, dude, that's one of my songs, and you're claiming that's yours,
bruh. So stupid, man. I had that happen to me on my previous alias, Delta Bot. Like someone stole my music and uploaded it, but like I had copyright, so they got like copyrighted. So it wasn't that bad. It's just like, yeah, you're just dumb. You know.
Seriously, bro. Like I don't know how people in today's day even do that. It's like, dude, just do the work. If you're
it's just common sense as well. Like what are you trying to achieve? What do you think people are gonna think you're me or whatever artist you're stealing from?
I think what they're trying to get is the bad publicity aspect. Like, you know, people are talking about him, and now that's gonna get him, you know, the attraction,
it's like that.
The trend.
There's no such thing as bad publicity. You know? It's like, talk whatever you want, just talk about me.
Yeah, exactly. So that was
some kind of attention.
It's basically that's what it is. It's some kind of attention. So that way, because this is fucked up as well for the algorithms, for people don't know in social media, the more you talk about certain person and you tag them, the more it's gonna feed up on others as well, and then the more it's gonna feed on your own channel. Even if you block that person, that's still gonna be because you help the algorithm to have that person to be talked about, and it starts to trend. And then before you know it, other people will notice it, and people either will like him, even though I will never understand those type of people that will support such a thing, and then other people will dislike him. But that helps the algorithm, and it's gonna help him beneficially because people are gonna be tagging him, and then you're gonna see the numbers on his social when it comes to stats reports. It's like, holy shit, people are talking crazy about me, you know, and I've been trending for a while. That helps a lot. Those are numbers. It's a numbers game at the end of the day, you know.
It is. It really is. It's just that it's just not the way to go.
No, it's not. It's absolutely
not gonna work.
No, absolutely, it's never gonna work. You know, and I always say this, like, the faster you do things, the faster you will fall. You know, you need to put some work behind it. Like,
exactly.
You know, the people
would you rather live in a house that was built in a couple of days or in one that was built in like a year? You know, you want to have a solid base for everything.
Exactly.
So yeah, I definitely agree with that.
Yeah, no, I mean, nowadays, now we got freaking AIs making music.
Yeah, right.
So
and
like
art and
art. So at least do some of that, you know, concept, you know, to do some work. Like at least have the AI make the song for you, but don't go ahead and steal other people's song. You know, like,
yeah, right.
Come on.
At least with the AI thing, you can kind of say, "Oh yeah, I made it." But how? I put some words into it, and then it generated.
Which is crazy right now to think about. You know, having that thought that we've gotten to a point of history in which AI it can now be usable for making music.
Computers can imagine things now. That's what it's crazy to me. It's like, what the hell? What world are we living in? And it's not just like music or art. It's everything.
Everything, yeah.
There's like engineering. There's like text. Like you can just tell an AI to finish a whole like paragraph for you or whole book if you want. And it's like in seconds, right?
That's scary.
And it's like insane.
I don't know about you, but that's fucking scary, bro. The fact that we've gotten to the point in which AI is itself enough intelligence to correct rights and wrongs, you know, like we've gotten to that point in which, like you said, they have their mind of their own. They feel what they feel, you know.
This whole technology is like, it's insane, but it's very interesting. Like I said, I'm a big nerd, so I absolutely love
Same.
everything that comes to like computers. And in fact, that's how I started making music. It was just like
From
a kid
computers.
who fucked around with computers a lot, and then I eventually randomly, I actually started on FL Studio. I randomly downloaded FL, and then I used it for a bit. I
Really?
was like, oh, so that's because back in the day, before I even made music, I thought people made DJs would make music live.
That's what I
I was
thought.
like-
Yeah.
Yeah, I was like 10 years old. I was like, this is so cool. How did they do that? And they downloaded, I don't know, some random ass DJ software. And I was like, for a lot of time, I was trying to make music in that until I find FL Studio. I was like, oh, what the hell? This is okay. I'm stupid. And then I downloaded it, and eventually kind of had fun with it. And then I switched to Ableton after like I would say like a year or so, pretty
Right.
much. So I used FL Studio for a bit, but then I kept using it on the side. I still know how to use FL Studio. I just don't like it. But yeah, this whole technology, it's like it's so interesting. But yeah, I agree. It's kind of scary because I think the scary aspect of it for me is like, for example, like deep fakes. Where they can get anyone's face
Yeah.
and anyone's voice and generate something they never said and manipulate people into, there's some really bad intentioned people out there with that technology available to
Yeah.
literally anyone. That's
Yeah.
what scares me in terms of like politics as well, where like some more really crazy important shit, if you deep fake the right person, you could start a fucking war at some point, It's
That's
insane.
scary, bro. And
Yeah, right.
And
It's
it's
crazy.
like I feel like we're living in our own episode of Black Mirror, dude.
Oh, bro, absolutely. Especially that one about the phones where everyone gives ratings to each other.
Dog, that episode was wild because it's like, dude, what the fuck? This is
too close.
Yeah, this is
We're
exactly
too
what
close.
we're living in it, bro. Like people,
Bro, for real.
rate on other
Literally.
people because of social media, and what scares me is like I've heard stories about recently about corporations asking for your social media during your interviews.
Yeah,
When they're interviewing, it's
is
like
that not normal there? Because this is like standard here for any jobs you apply. They will always check your social media.
oh, bro, like
Yeah,
here's the thing.
especially if you're gonna work with the public. Like my friend, he works at a company and he's a seller. It sells. I'm not gonna get into deal, but for his job, since he works with people, he had to during the interview he has to give him his Instagram and like other social medias he has, or at least the active ones, so that they kind of do a background check, see if you're not like crazy. But then that's so like invasive. And, like,
Yeah, in a way. Like, so here's the thing. Yes and no. I've heard companies that they do, check on other people's social media presence, or what
Right.
they do or what you post on social media. But at least I know the jobs I got, they don't ask for it. However, even though they didn't ask me, if you work on a certain company or a certain corporation, you should always make sure that nobody from the corporation knows about your social media, or make sure that your social media is separate for what you do, because at the end of the day, you represent the company, whether you're inside or
Right.
outside. Whatever you say or do, you're representing them, and it's an image for them. So when you say the wrong thing, you're trying to damage their image, because that's where people say, oh, so this company allows this type of behavior from people like that, and they work
right.
on it.
Exactly.
And that's when those companies come, oh, it's like, damn it, now we gotta go into your social media, check what's up. Oh my
Yeah.
God, what'd you say? We gotta terminate
when
you
it started,
for something that you said, or for a video that you just said. That's why you most of the time you have to be careful what you say or what you do,
Yeah.
And we in our country we have what we say, this is something that everybody practices, that everybody says in the riots and whatnot. Freedom of speech, which is like the first right as a U.S. citizen. That's in part of the Constitution. You have the right for freedom of speech. But here's the thing: in reality, freedom of speech is not freedom of speech,
Yeah,
because anything
exactly.
that you say or do has consequences.
It does.
Whatever you say whatever energy that you put out, there's an equal amount of energy that's coming back to you. You know, whatever it cause and effect. You know, Newton's third law, cause and effect. And even an opposite and one force of action comes an opposite reaction to you. You know that's why I'm always careful on the things I say or do, and even in my podcast, I will say whatever comes in my fucking mind. But I always keep in mind that I will bleep out the times that I ever mentioned that I work with this company, when I work with this corporation. Or I always bleep it out because I don't ever want either A, have people to know where I work, and B, I don't want people to ever know that like, oh, I work in this place and I say something wrong and they're just gonna cancel me for no reason, and it's gonna get into the ears of my company, and they're gonna be like, well, you got two choices.
You through HR.
Yeah. You got two choices. You either delete this or say I apologize, or you don't work for us anymore. You know? So that's why
that's also what makes the whole deepfake thing even more scary too. You know?
Yeah.
Imagine it's seeing something you never said or did there in a video, and people are like, oh, this is proof. There's no doubt, because it's fucking realistic at this point.
Yeah.
And it's like, what the hell, bro?
Yeah, no, bro. That's why most of the time when I say it in my podcast, it's my own platform. And I always tell people, it's like, I know what I said. Like something that I use this quote from Alice in Wonderland, that she once said this because somebody screenshotted her like, oh, I remember when you say this. And she fired back by saying, you don't need to screenshot me what I say. I know what the fuck I said, and I stand behind it. Now I'm like, that's some fire stuff.
That's
like
badass.
That's badass. That's badass. Yo, and I say that here in the podcast. Like, guys, you don't need to screenshot or clip record what I said in my podcast. I know what I said. Like, we can go back and talk about it. Like, I know what I said.
Yeah.
And another thing, something that I hate that people get because people get canceled nowadays for stuff that's been said in the past, but they're no longer that person, you know? And people need to realize that, you know, we were young. The internet was a wild, wild west before. There weren't that many regulations. And over time, you learn and you grow, you know? There's a difference. There's a difference if you continue to practice the same hated shit that you started from the beginning versus you said some gnarly stuff, but then over the years you grew out of it and you apologize and or don't even acknowledge it. It's just like I was very edgy at the time. I'm no longer that. There's a big difference.
I feel like you have the right to be stupid, but as long as you don't keep being stupid.
Exactly. You know? Exactly.
Don't people on the internet like to act like they know better than everyone, that they never make mistakes because they're so much better, because they're there to judge and they're the warriors.
Oh yeah, social justice
but
warriors.
Like it's so easy to put yourself in that like spot.
I know.
But then if you could go back to everything you ever said, I'm pretty sure everyone has some fucked up shit they said at some time. Then they're like, I'm sure at some point they learned, and then they're like, that was bad, and then moved on and learned from it.
Of course.
But like you said, like I agree. People do say some fucked up shit, and everyone has the right to improve on themselves, especially if it's something from years ago.
Right.
I don't think it's fair. I think, of course, some cases do deserve like an apology at least. But at the same time, as long as that person is not that anymore, you know.
I agree. And it's like it's a day by day, you know, case. You know, like it depends on the severity of what you say or what you did.
Yeah, it's a whole thing. Yeah. It's like it really depends on what happened, who said it, why, and like it's not something that you can discuss in like 240 characters. People just don't want to, you know, they just don't want to have conversations and discussions anymore. They just want to be right. That's the end of it. Like, fuck you if you're trying to explain yourself. I don't think that's fair.
I wonder if any of these social justice warriors will ever grow up and realize all the stupidity shit or all the cancel that they ever done in their lives.
They will once it happens to them. Because like as soon as it turns back on you, you learn how fucking annoying it is. Yeah. But at the same time, I feel like that we still kind of do need those sorts of people, otherwise some other shit would never surface, so that we can be aware of some bad apples here and there,
right?
So it's like it's annoying to some extent. It's necessary to have people critic.
It's like a necessary evil to have.
Exactly. I feel like that. It's annoying, but at the same time, it's if I don't want to see drama, I can just tap out of the fucking app and go do something else.
Right.
It's not like I'm forced to read Twitter all day.
Right.
I feel like people get too caught up on it and then blame the internet for being annoying. Where it's like, bro, you chose to read all that. Ain't no one forcing you. So if you're looking for bad things, you will always find bad things.
Let me ask you, because I want to circle this back to your tutoring sessions when you do it with your students. Has anybody ever asked you about, any of your students ever approach you to, ask you like, oh, what do you think about this and that? Or anybody ask you about, marketing in terms of the social media and all that stuff?
Yeah. That's also part of what I teach too. I don't only teach music. I also teach artist branding and marketing. And like I have a lot of like workflow things that I teach people, like how to properly, other than just making the music, like the technical like music production side, there's the rest. Like how do you position yourself as an artist? Like how do you do marketing? Like how do you build like consistency, and how do you keep releasing music all the time? And it's all about like that stacking up on music pretty much. And you have to treat things a little more professionally so that you can keep track of it, especially if you're releasing a lot. So I have like spreadsheets. I have like a lot of spreadsheets of like marketing stuff that I made. And a lot of people don't even take it that seriously, like actually put everything, write it down, plan, and then get everything done.
Really?
But I have like spreadsheets for like all the marketing, all the tunes that I have, what my friends thought of the tunes, what I plan on doing it, when it's coming out, who's going to do the artwork, blah, blah, blah. A lot of stuff. So I take it very seriously because it's easy, at least for me, it's easier to keep track of everything if it's like that, right? Otherwise, I just have a bunch of fucking files just scattered around my computer. But like the main thing that I tell people is stack, like don't rush to release music. Stack the best tunes you have, like maybe 3 or 4 tunes. And plan on releasing them like every month or every other month. That way you can build like consistency. And by building consistency, the first tune might not do too well unless you get kind of lucky. But then the second one is going to do a little bit better. The third and the fourth one are going to do amazing. And that's kind of proven because it's how marketing and how the algorithms kind of work. So if you're consistently active, the algorithms like you more. And that's obvious for every social media. So every social media that you're active, you're going to have the algorithm like you a lot. And to have that much content to post, you have to have content prepared. You can't be like, oh, I'm going to make a tune and then release it tomorrow and then not release anything for the next 6 months because you're stuck or whatever. But stacking up on music not only gives you time to do proper marketing, do proper like assets for like video trailers and like out now videos, like a good artwork and a good like dynamic for that marketing scheme. But it also saves you a lot of mental health issues because instead of rushing to release right after the last tune came out, you now have bought yourself time to write the next tunes. So for example, I have a lot of music stacked. If I wanted to start releasing now, I could have like probably like 2 years worth of releases just ready, right? And then that gives you time because if you have like 3, let's say you're releasing once every month, right? And you have 3 tunes, you just gave yourself 3 months to write the 4th tune because now you're that far ahead in your tune, in your project. I feel like that's the best thing that ever like I learned. It's just stack on music and then start releasing it. Because then you can do better artwork, you can do better videos, and then you can do better music in the end because you're not as stressed. I need to write music, otherwise I'm going to lose my content. Right. I'm going to lose my audience. Because you kind of do. People forget about it. Like in the end, we're not that important to everyone.
Yeah.
You can't take that for granted. So
Here,
I feel like that's the best thing. And it's exactly what I'm doing now. I haven't released in like 3 months, but that's because I'm finishing my EP and I'm stacking a lot of music so that I can start releasing again soon and not be worried about like dropping a tune and then being like super scared of like not making enough more music to release like the next month. Because if you only have 1 month to make a tune, it's kind of rushed. I take a lot of time with my music. Sometimes yes, sometimes no, but most of the time I take a lot of time to finish projects.
A scarf in the laundry. Sorry, I was talking to my fiance.
It's all good, bro.
No,
don't even worry.
No, what I was actually about to ask you, have any of your students ever, came about and ask you about this, or normally people just ask you about how do I produce music? Is it very common or is it very rare for them to come on you and you have to like show them?
People usually want to learn more music, so I would say it's like 80% of people just want to learn music and that's it. But there is people who came to me directly asking for like marketing. There's like lessons that I did, like, because my lessons are 2 hours, so there was like 2 whole hours of me explaining marketing and how you brand yourself and how you build that like momentum to have that consistency and how that affects it. And then there's the whole like how to use social media and all the formats you have to produce content to. There's like so much to it. So just like music, I could talk about it for hours and hours. It's like there's a whole lot to it. So yeah, there's not everyone, but in the end, it always gets to that point where even in the music related sessions, I end up talking a little bit about that because it's kind of it is part of the process. Like if you're making music but you're not going to release it, then of course you can make it to yourself. But if you're making it as an artist, the point is you're making music because you want to release it. So it kind of gets there, and you're like, yeah, okay. So now that this is done, you might want to understand a little bit at least of how you should put it out, so that if you put like 50 hours into a project, like a song, why not put at least like a couple more, or like maybe some more work into the marketing so that tune can probably do well.
Right.
It's something that people like overlook a lot. And I feel like it's important because I have just as much fun making music as I have like planning the release and like getting artwork and then adjusting that artwork to be like on all of my covers and how it's going to look, all those designs, all the videos, like whatever promo I'm going to do, maybe like giveaway or something, like how I'm going to push this new song to the public without feeling like it's something forced. But it's fun. It's like, it's just as fun as writing it, really. And the whole lot, like my tune actually, Void Walker, was like I think the first tune I released this year. I made that whole tune with a student. And also the marketing, like from the beginning, I wanted to do something futuristic, and that's what the tune sounds like. And then from that, I already hit up the designer and told him, hey, this is what I want. So as I was writing it, he had that whole time to, get ideas for the artwork. So me and him both had a lot of time to brainstorm ideas and come up with the Void Walker artwork. But that's kind of how I always work. I always set the theme and vibe first, and then I start writing.
And let me ask you this. You say yourself that it's 2-hour sessions. You always try to make 2-hour sessions with your students. What is normally your rate that goes by? And, what is the most typical thing that you talk about? Like, it does, like an example, like on every session that you make, is there like a different rates to say like, oh, and if it's music, it's this much. If it's like branding and marketing, it's this much. Like, is there like, walk me through the whole process of you being as a private tutor, and how helpful this is for people, that ever want to enroll with you.
Yeah, right. So I don't charge hourly like a lot of people do. I just say, hey, my sessions are 2 hours, and they go for $80. And there's no different rates for any different topics. It's just like we can talk about whatever, because I like I said, I'm a big nerd and I could talk about music for hours.
Yeah.
So for me, it's fun to just talk to people and I teach them. And if I'm getting paid and I'm having fun, and if they're learning, like that's all I want. It's fun. That's good. I talked to, it helped me a lot as well with like social anxiety, because I am introverted. I'm very introverted.
Yeah.
And I used to be really, really, really shy. But then teaching and like talking to people like that, like for example, to be able to have this interview right now, I had to go through like 5 years of teaching so that I can talk properly and not be like, oh, curled up, because I wasn't like great at talking to people like that, because it used to give me so much anxiety, especially new people. So that I kind of started doing that because like of course I needed the money, and then I was like, hey, it's actually not that bad to talk to strangers. It's kind of fun.
Right.
And then I've talked to like so many people now, and I can't even count. I probably did like more than 400 or 500 lessons over the past like years.
Wow.
So it's quite a bit.
That's quite a journey, bro. And
the most common topic I think would be sound design, or how to build a drop.
Of course. Of course.
Yeah. No, all the people will learn.
No, but let me tell you, bro, because I'm also an introvert, you know, and it took a while for me to build to where I am right now, which is now I can just have fluent conversations with anybody. In fact, my fiance will keep telling me, it's like, man, you will not stop talking. And I'm like, yeah, because I keep myself bottled up, and I need to like pull it out, and I don't have anybody.
Fucking real.
And I don't have anybody to talk about this stuff. So that's why I got this. You know,
I talk to myself way too much.
I know, right?
Sometimes I need to just go ahead and talk to someone else, but then it was shy as hell. So who the hell I'm gonna talk to?
Exactly. You know, before when I used to go on the festivals, when I'm backstage, I was like too afraid to talk to some of these artists, you know, or even A&Rs or managements. I was just too afraid because I'm not around their clique, and I don't know how to like approach them. I had to get myself drunk for me to work out my cojones and be confident, show them like, hey, how's it going, man? My name is Wolfson. Nice to meet you, man. It was the only time, because if not, I'll be like, hey, my name. Oh, okay, never mind. You're busy.
Yeah, dude,
that's fine.
God damn it.
Yeah, bro. Yeah,
I was literally the same. I mean, I am still like pretty shy. I was still like, it's still weird to just go up to people like that. But I mean, it's not that bad. It's just like, it's not that deep. You know, it's like, dude, just do it. What they're gonna do? They're not gonna punch me or something.
Yeah. But it happens. You know, it doesn't happen overnight.
Teaching for me as well was like a whole thing that helped me, especially with my language barrier, and because of that, because I was shy speaking to people in Brazil, and then it was even worse speaking to people outside of Brazil, because it's like, they're gonna make fun of me because my English it sounds funny, you know. And over time, like, because I have everything recorded, right? Like I record all of my lessons, and I have stuff from like 5 years ago, and then I listen to myself and I'm like, Jesus Christ, I sound so different. You know, I sound very like intimidated by the other person, especially because like 90% of my clients, like 99.999% of my clients are like they're English speakers. Like I barely have like many Brazilian. So I had to do this. I had to like just loosen up a little, you know, and just talk to people more fluently, and that helped with like learning English a lot better, and like, you know, improving my accent so that I don't sound too Brazilian, because I don't like the Brazilian accent. I don't know how I sound like right now, but you know, I at least I'm happy with it. I'm not too conscious about it the whole time, like how I'm pronouncing things and all that, because that was part of the whole like anxiety.
Oh no, bro, you're good, man. Your English is as good as mine, man. And English is not my first language, so you know, sometimes you gotta forgive for my foolishness when I say words, you know.
No, I feel that, bro. I absolutely feel that, and I have to like at some point I said some stupid shit, and I realized like, oh, that doesn't mean what I think it does.
I had that. I have so many of those problems, bro. So I say some words, and people are like, "Look at me! What did you just say?" I said this, like, "Oh, you mean this?" I'm like, "Yeah, that's what I mean." It's like, "Oh, you need to be careful because this means that, and the way you say it meant different way. I'm like, what? I wasn't even going that way. I wasn't even thinking about that.
Yeah.
So
right,
I am naive like that. I'm like, I didn't know this is like that.
Yeah, how was I supposed to know? It's not my first language.
Yeah, and I tell people, it's like, dude, this is not my first language. I didn't know that's what you meant. I wasn't coming across like that. Like, damn.
Yeah, right.
Man.
But yeah, I feel like English was like a barrier at some point because as I was learning, I could write and talk, chat people online fine, but like then speaking and like pronunciation is hard. It's a whole different language.
Yeah.
Then eventually, like I got out of it. I was like, fuck it. if I say something they don't understand, they will just ask me to repeat, and that's normal. Like.
Yeah, exactly. I'm not gonna even bother with the pronunciation. I spell it out as I see it. Yeah. If I see it wrong, it's like, well, that's how it's gonna come out. Yeah. I can't tell you, man.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, bro. One of the things I definitely want to ask you, more about your production side, because I want to know a little bit more with your music and what up to right now. What has been like your favorite project that you've worked so much, or you worked little, or like you're so proud of it that you're like, damn, bro, like I'm so happy it got out, or I'm happy that I worked with this, and this is it.
That's a tough question. Now, I'll put this in two boxes. There's the tunes that I released, and there's the tunes that I'm still working on, because for that I would say right now my absolute favorite work is the EP that I'm working on, and there's a tune called Delirium, and that tune is like the peak of everything I ever made for me personally. Like that's like the best showcase of my skills and what I've been trying to achieve as a producer for the past like 10 years. If I showed that tune to myself like 10 years ago, my younger self would be proud. It's something I see that tune. So it's like my best work, and I'm really proud of it. Now, when it comes to release stuff, I would say the tune that I find myself coming back to a lot, because like I do listen to I'm not sure if that's kind of narcissistic, but like I do listen to my own music, like when I'm just doing my normal playlists, you know.
It's not narcissistic, because I do the same thing. Like any songs that I finish, like I put it on my playlist and I listen to it, and I'm like, damn, I can't believe I did this song. This is fire.
Right, exactly. That the one tune for me that I keep coming back to is Digital Dreams.
Oh,
because of the melody, and it's a second drop for me. It just always hits for me personally. It's one of my favorite projects, because it has like a lot of like weird technical stuff. It's like a lot of tempo changes. It's just a fun project. It was like I remember I had a really good time writing it, so I like to go back to it. Now, in terms of technical, like how, because Digital Dreams, it's my best composition and arrangement, but it's not my best mix. I tried my best, but I couldn't clear it up as much. But I feel like the one tune that I really like, a released song that I think that has probably the best showcase of like both arrangement, composition, and mixing, and like, all of the aspects would be New Dawn. It's like probably the best mix I made, with like the best composition paired with it, as well as the theming. So I can't pick. You asked me about one, and I just gave you like three.
Hey,
like,
that's fine. That's fine. That's fine with having really one or three, or 5 or 10. Hey, I got a few favorites of mine as well. That's fine by that, man. And what is your like creative process behind when you're doing your sessions? Because we talked about, when you're sound designing and how your post processing sounds up, but when you're building a session itself, like what is like normally the first thing that you actually like start working out? Like you start at the drop and then everything works out after that, or do you actually start from the beginning, or you work some pianos, you sound design stuff and then plan this happen? Like, what is your creative process when you're doing your sessions?
The way I do it is I have different sessions for sound design and different sessions for like composing. Because one thing I do a lot is I have my MIDI here, and I just plug it in and I just play piano for like 2 hours straight and then record everything. And then I end up finding I just improvise and just practicing or just playing for 2 hours. And then
Right.
I end up like finding little snippets, and then I cut the MIDI and I save that in ideas folder. And then I leave that there until I want to use it. And then I do the same thing with basses and synths. I just like, when I'm feeling like it, I'll do like a sound design session, and I'll save all the sounds that I made, and I'll leave them for later. And when I feel like actually writing, instead of just going from zero and scratch, I'm just going to take something out of those two and then make something with it, and then just arrange it. Because in my brain, I like separating things. I don't like switching between like sound designing mode to like composition mode to arrangement, because those are all, in my head, it's all different, right? So if I'm like all technical, all like sound designy mode, I cannot quickly switch to, you know, writing an emotional mode for arrangement and composition, you know. So I rather do things separately. So I will compose in a session, and then I'll do sound design in another, and then I'm going to combine them into one big thing. For me, that works a lot easier. It's just also easier to keep a consistency, because if I want to go back to older sounds, I can just pick from them and then repurpose them, and then clean them up again. Like there's stuff that like I said, like that Shuriken tune I mentioned that was completely resampled from an older tune. That's pretty much how I started. It was all like just take a sound and then turn it into an idea. Digital Dreams itself, melody was actually an improv, like a completely improv I made. It was just improvising and practicing. And then I played it. I was like, oh, that's cool. And then I saved it. Then I split it into different sounds, and then I built the rest. And then the rest is kind of history. It's like just working on it for fucking 80 hours, I think, or 100 hours in that one.
Wow.
It's about 100 hours, yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna ask you, is that like, how long does it usually take you to finish just a project, just one project?
Bro, I would say it's between 50 and like 70 hours usually. Some tunes can take more. There's like a tune I don't even know how many hours I work on it, because it was like 9 months.
Yeah,
I worked on that was Drowning with Ratfoot, which is a singer friend of mine. Like really old tune. But yeah, I worked on that for 9 months until I got the final. There was like completely different versions of it. But there's tunes that I made in like 5 hours, like wanted, and it turned out to be one of the best performing tunes I released. So it was like, it really depends, but it's usually between like 50 and 70 hours, because the way I work is I will write this idea and then I'll start stitching it up a lot.
Right.
So there's tunes like Delirium, like I said, the tune from the EP that I really like. Over time, I think I have 5 completely versions of that song, because I kept rewriting it from scratch pretty much. So I will have an intro, and then I have a drop, and then I will change the intro because it doesn't fit the drop, and then I'm going to change the drop because it now doesn't fit the intro, and then I'm going to keep changing them a lot. And then eventually I there's something that I like that I feel like works a lot better than others. But basically, it's like writing a lot of tunes and then you condense into one. There's other tunes that I made the exact same thing. Like a lot of the tunes, it's just like, it's never remotely close to the initial idea, because I changed it so much. And then that's what takes up so much time. It's like completely rewriting it until I find the best possible outcome of that idea, you know? It's like I have lots of drafts, and then I just pick one of those and then polish it and finish it. That's kind of how I do it for every song.
How many drafts do we have, man?
Bro, don't even tell me. Like this, from like 2021 to present day, my demos folder has 500-ish projects. 400 projects? Yeah, about 400 projects.
You beat me by 300.
Yeah, it's a lot. But like there's also a lot of, I'm not gonna say those are all like songs, because it's not. There's a lot of like, there might be one project where it's just like random notes I wrote. I was like, oh, this is cool, and then I never touched it again. But it's always like a lot of ideas. I'm pretty sure there's one project where I just I drew the Among Us character in the MIDI, and then I saved it. Or for whatever reason.
Seems kind of sus, this project.
Kind of sussy, bro. But yeah, there's a lot of dumb shit as well I made with like friends. Like
Mm-hmm.
At some point, me and Jaqui, we were just hanging out on Discord, working on the collab back in the, I don't remember, I think it was 2020. And then I don't know why we started drawing in MIDIs, and then we drew a dick and then rendered it and then turned it into a riser that we actually used in the song.
Oh
I still have that one.
You and Jiki?
Just so stupid. Yeah.
Yo,
really
that's hilarious.
But it's so stupid. I still have that riser. It's still in the song. Like, can't really tell which one it is, but it's there. He actually used it in the song. It's like the dumbest ideas that work.
Yeah. Most of the time, it's the dumbest ideas that really work, and you're like, God damn it, I can't believe
like that,
it,
bro. It's always like that.
Let me ask you, like, does this ever happen to you? Like, do you ever get writer's block, or do you believe that it's just a myth?
I don't think it's a myth. There are many ways around it that people just overlook, right? Because, like I said, I don't like going from scratch, right?
Right.
Like, I don't open a blank project and I start writing and then because that's gonna give me writer's block. Like, it's not every day that I'm gonna be in my most creative state.
Right.
So the way I do it, like I said, is to avoid writer's block. Not only I keep everything categorized, like all the sound design plugins that I like to use, all my sounds that I made, all my recs, my presets and everything, as well as synths that I want to use for intros and the MIDIs themselves, which are actual melodies, right? So I just have everything there. So when I'm actually in writer's block and I don't have any fresh ideas, I just grab from the pile of ideas that I wrote over time and then I drag it in and start messing with it, because eventually it clicks and then you make something, right?
Right.
It's like, no, that is my way around it. And ever since I started doing that, I don't think I've stopped complaining about writer's block. I don't think I had writer's block ever since I started doing that, because it's literally, for me, it is the way around it, right? I will still feel not creative some days. I wake up and I was like, damn, I wanted to do something, but I have absolutely zero ideas going on. Then I just drag in a sound that I made previously and start messing with the patch. And I was like, oh, actually, wait. And then I start messing with this and that and this. I think people just don't know themselves well enough to be able to start sparkling those ideas and forcing themselves, jumping into kind of like happy accidents so that you can then build from there. I think like I work a lot on the happy accidents thing. Just, I know how to force myself into getting an idea by pure randomness, pretty much. That's my way around writer's block. But it's definitely not a myth. No, it is a problem. I feel like for me personally, writer's block is more on the artwork side, maybe, because it's easy. It's not easy, but for me, it's easier to write a song than to imagine a visual representation of it, in a cool way, because it has to be a cool artwork and everything. Yeah. So to get ideas for artwork in a tune, for me, is more of a block than like actually writing the tune, because not every tune has like this very specific vibe that I can like visually see and put that into an artwork. But like, for example, tunes that were easy to do that were like Voidwalker and New Dawn. Very easy to imagine that. But then there was this tune called Wanted, and I was like, what would be the artwork for a tune called Wanted, where the lyrics literally just say "wanted" all the time? And then what would that look like? Like, of course, it would not look like a skull and a knife, because that's heavy. But it would probably be something softer. But then it was difficult to find an artwork for that. I feel like that's where I usually struggle more, visually portraying what I just like the music that I made. So that's the block for me.
No, and I 100% agree with that. I asked this question because every artist has a different answer to it. Like, you'll be surprised how many people really don't believe it, and they say that it's just a lazy term for people that don't feel like want to write. And I try to see to their point of view and their explanation behind it. And I said, like when you say like that, it makes sense. But there's times that I have to push back, because like I do believe there is such a thing as writer's block, and not necessarily it has to mean that, oh, I'm just lazy and I just don't want to do it. And I know that's why it's called lazy. It's lazy, but writer's block most of the time involves with you trying to like force yourself to do something and it doesn't come out, or you just don't feel like you can come out with something out of it, you know? And I always wonder, like, as you as a private tutor, do you ever get inspired yourself every time you hear some of your students, you know, work? And it's like, dude, I love how my student did this work and it inspired me to do something, you know, and get me out of the funk, you know?
Absolutely, bro. Like I said, I've taught some advanced producers as well. And one of them was GK himself. And like years ago. So like the way that guy like improved his music and moved forward is insane. I was like so proud of him. He's like completely surpassed me. I was like, God damn, bro, that's hella inspiring, you know? And then I gave sound design lessons to Ivory as well at some point.
Wow.
Yeah, and it was pretty much us hanging out really, but it was cool. It was like me showing him that stuff, and it was like, oh, that I didn't know that. And then yeah, it ended up showing me some stuff as well, so it was kind of a back and forth thing. But it was there's a lot of people that I taught that like started making some really cool shit, and I was like, damn, bro, did I teach them really that well? But like at the same time, it's always their
working,
own,
right?
Yeah, right. I don't take credit for it though. It's like it's their thing. It's they're the ones who, you know, worked their asses off to learn and then to improve. But at the same time, it makes me proud. And I'm like, well, at least I feel like I did a good job, and then they're doing an even better job now, which is inspiring me. You know, it's awesome to see, man. It's really awesome to see.
That's
people improve, and then like it absolutely does inspire me. There is definitely lessons in which like sometimes I do lessons where people send me a project file and then they ask me to go through it and see what's wrong with it. And sometimes I end up working on it a little bit, and I was like, oh yeah, this is cool. And then I show them a little idea and they're like, oh, can I use that? I was like, yeah, absolutely. It's your project. All I did was like touch one thing here and there. But at the same time, it does inspire me to you know, write something and you know, it's just fun to see people improve like that, because they do. It's insane. Like I've seen people completely change their music in the course of like 2 months. It's like, wow, God damn, bro. Right?
That's the dedication. No, and you should be proud about it. You know, you should take pride in the fact that it's like, dude, I'm happy that one of my students is killing it more than me, man. Or it's like absolutely. It's out there, bro.
No,
like,
yeah,
yo, that means I did something right. Like I moved something.
Yeah.
I did something, you know?
Hell yeah. Exactly, bro. I always love to see it, man. It's really, I forgot the word. I love to see it.
It's really proudful, you know?
Yeah.
We're gonna wrap this up with a few more questions, and we can end it with a nice little note, my man. You know, one of the things I definitely wanted to ask you is, why is it that you actually chose Zetta as your, you know, your artist name, as your, you know, your brand?
Right. So, like I said, I'm a massive nerd, and Zetta actually comes from a computer unit measurement, the Zetta byte.
Yes, the Zetta byte. I know about that.
It's one of the biggest. Like the actual biggest one is the Yotta byte, I think. It's like the one above Zetta, but that didn't sound as cool, so I just picked Zetta instead. So it's the second biggest unit of measurement, and I just took the byte out of it because it sounded corny. So Zetta sounded cool. And also it ties, because it is a Greek letter as well.
I was going to say that. It has some Greek in it.
Yeah, and I previously had that in other aliases, like DeltaBot, like Delta is another Greek letter. And I just thought it was like a good way to push forward and continue while still maintaining some sort of characters. It's still me, like, you know. But then, yeah, Zetta, it's pretty much just comes from the computer thing.
That's dope. Hey.
Yeah.
And what has been right now, up to now, your greatest accomplishment, and what do you hope to accomplish down the road?
I feel like just in general, the fact that I was able to turn this into my full-time job is probably my biggest achievement. It's like, of course, I could talk about like the tunes that worked really well, and I'm really proud of that too. I would say those are some big accomplishments. But in the end, just being able to do this as my job and not having to, have a 9 to 5 or like go out of my house. I work
Right.
from home. I can work from my bed if I want to. It's really a privilege. It's like, I think I would say that, yeah, like just being able to do the thing that I absolutely love as my job and do it daily, and then be my own boss, and then, still have fun with it. I feel like that's the best thing. Now, in terms of like what songs did the best and what I think are my greatest achievements, there's like, I would say Game Boy was the peak of the Zeta stuff back in like 2016. Was like the one tune that back in the day, I used to have quite a few tunes uploaded to Dubstep Gutter because I had a really close relationship with him.
Yeah.
So I think I have like maybe 10 songs there from back then, and one of them is Game Boy, which is like, I think 800,000 plays, and then on my SoundCloud it has like 300,000. So that was probably the biggest tune I ever released. And then in recent years, there's this tune with a friend of mine called Run the City, because at some point I was doing some trap music because that would have been fun. And I got lucky as hell, and it got playlisted on those Spotify official playlists like 3 times. And it got like 600,000 plays. And it's like, God damn, that was huge for me. So I feel like those are some of my greatest like achievements, This is like, it's insane to see something I made in my computer, clicking buttons, just reaching that many people.
Right.
It's like, there's not even that much people in the city I live in. It's like, it's crazy to see that.
Absolutely. And that's gotta be a huge accomplishment and a very proudful moment as well, to ever see
absolutely.
that you have so many people listening to your music and you weren't aware that many people, fuck with it,
Yeah, it's insane. Like the moment you see it blowing up and you're like, what the hell is going on? See that many people are like, are these bots? Because they don't even feel like real people. You're like, bro, is this really happening? Seriously? And then you look at the comments and like, there's a lot of course, in some cases you will find one or another like hate comment, but the amount of people being nice about it, and like, it's always 99% of people have something nice to say. And you're like, God damn, bro, how did my dumb ass just did this, It's really cool to see. It's like, it's
absolutely, man. Absolutely. Before we wrap this up with this one question, I actually give this opportunity to every interviewer, and it's the Ask Me Anything. I just give a shot to people, say like, because of my history or what I do, I tell them, hey, is there a specific thing that you want to know about me, or you want to know about my experience or about my history, or what are the stuff that I do? So I take this moment. I ask people, ask me anything, whatever it is. I'm an open book,
I would like to ask, what led you to write those 2 EPs that you're doing right now? Like, what was the point in which you decided, hey, I want to write something about this specific, not specific situation, or like, what was the starting point in which you decided you wanted to follow that project? Because it's, for me, like the EP that I started 2 years ago, I don't think I have a full reason for it other than just I wanted to write an EP,
I think I'm pretty sure that I definitely talked about this previous episodes with someone else. I think it was like Jesus, like this is gonna be like 130, I believe, episode 130. I think it was like 116 or a little bit earlier before. I know it was episode. Is it 120? It was episode 96 with Semi Dubs. I think that's, I don't know what is it that he and I started talking, and it just clicked on me. Like I feel like I should make an EP, that signifies the significance of all my struggles, and then all my come outs, and then all the good things that has happened to me, because it's basically like, I guess like I went in a rabbit hole about if I ever gonna make one last song or one last EP, like this will be the win, even though it will never be. But at least I can say I'm proud of myself that I did this. I did this. Whether I'm gonna self-release it or have it release it somewhere else, it don't matter at this point. Like right now, I'm not thinking about it, but I feel like the importance of the EP is the storytelling, because I always want to tell a story behind every song. If you notice some of my songs, if you see the titles of it, most of them, they have a meaning behind it, the name itself. Maybe not the song, maybe the song itself is what I was feeling at the moment, but the title means something to me and what I was feeling before, or what I was expressing before, or what I was dealing before, So I feel like the reasoning for behind those EP A and B is I want to tell the story to people, because I love it when people talk a lot of shit behind my back and say I'm a washed up artist that never really made it and I could have done it. I love listening to those stories, because like every success is different. Maybe your success means you need to have 20,000 followers and you're traveling around and that's your success. That is not my success. My success is that I can make a living out of what I'm doing and what I'm passionate.
Exactly.
I
agree. I really agree on that.
Yeah, and I make a living by being an audio engineer. I love doing that, and audio visual technician. That's what I do for a living, and because of that, I'm very successful. I managed to have my own place. I have my own car that I pay with my own money. I managed to do build this podcast out of my own pocket. It's because of that. A lot of good things happen because of my own, and I feel like that's my own success. So So doing this EP is, I didn't purposely did it to shut the haters out. It wasn't my intentions on that. My intentions is to let the people know, like, see how I was.
More of telling a story.
Yeah, how the telling the story of what I was to what I am and what I'm accomplished to it, or what I'm hoping to accomplish. Because I say side A and side B, what I was and what I'm currently present. Who knows? There could be a side C in the future, and it tells this is what I'm doing right now, and this is how what I'm gonna be doing in the next 20-something years.
It's the future now.
Yeah, it's the future. Past,
present, future.
Exactly. So that's how I was visioning it, because most of the time when I'm a nerd by heart, so like I watch a lot of animes, I watch a lot of I play Pokemon, I play Yu-Gi-Oh, I play a lot of video games, and I enjoy some of the good video games like God of War that has a huge lore, and obviously experiencing the entire game itself, like the sound designing, the Foley arting, the whole lore aspect, the storyline, the visuals behind it. Like it tells a story without even telling the story. Like there is a storyline, which is Kratos and his son. But when you look around it, there's more story behind it, and you start to explore even more, and there's more to it.
There's always more to it.
There's more than meets the eye, basically. So that's another aspect of my EPs. There's more to the story of what I was going for, or what I was doing, and what was happening, and what I'm currently doing, and what I'm currently trying to accomplish by. So I try to look at it as I'm trying to tell a story, and this is me telling you this is what I was going through, and this is me telling you this is what I am now, and what I'm gonna be in the future.
Right. That's sick, dude. That's a really clever idea, honestly.
Thank you.
It's a really good idea.
I mean, I learned from the best to become the best, and some of these stuff I learned from people's, experiences in which, when they're trying to make their live sets or make music, they're telling me like, this is, what I'm feeling, and this is what I'm currently doing, and this is why it sounds like that. Like if you hear music from back then and you hear music from me now, you can actually tell that very, trajectory. Like you can literally see like, holy crap.
Absolutely.
Like
that's something I do with my project as well. It's always been just about me sharing how I evolved with music. It's all that it is about.
Right.
It's like I'm just showcasing my evolution as a person, as a musician. And like, for example, if you check my earliest tunes, I don't like them. but like they're so old. And of course, there's some people who like them, but like for me, I don't like them because I like what I'm making now. But then what I'm making now, I'm not gonna like it in like 2 years or so because I'm gonna think it's kind of outdated.
Yeah.
But then it's all about having all that like documented. I feel like that's really cool, and that's something. It's almost like an old like memory book for me. You know, I can go back to older projects and see the way I did things and like the composition and like the chords I chose and all that. It's just it to me, someone who wrote it and remember it. I can remember some memories of the day I was writing some old stuff, and then like it's cool. It's nostalgic, you know. So it's something that I do with my projects, like just try and portray my evolution as an artist. And I feel like that's what I'm always doing. It's the whole point of the projects, like, which is why I don't focus too much on like having a one specific style. I just make whatever I like and I release it. You know, I just like doing it that way. I don't like making the same thing over and over again. It's so fucking boring to me.
And that's another reason to my projects, because like I love listening to music every day, you know. And I love dubstep, don't get me wrong. And I love to fuck around with the tear with the metal step and all that heavy stuff. Like I fuck with it a lot. But I also want to demonstrate, you know, like I don't just only do this, you know. I can as an artist, I can involve myself and also do this, which is why I'm doing the melodic dubstep, the chill step, the future
showing
rhythm,
like
you know,
sides.
trying to get, you know, some of the aspects, you know, which is why like I was so happy that, you know, I was able to do this collaboration with Mantic and Infinite, you know, Infinite singing on my song, and they were fuck with, and I was just like, dude, this is gnarly. I would have never thought this could have gone any better. Like, holy fuck. And obviously for me to say having Robbie as my lead on the vocals on my own song, dude, the fucking guy is killing it right now. And dude, like I was like, dude, I did something, like, you know, like, this is my first attempt of doing melodic dubstep, and people are loving it. And I'm like, okay, then I'm gonna go about it. Let me do some more stuff, you know. So obviously that's what I was trying to get to, like show the people like I was all about tear out and bro step and whatnot. Now I'm more about the melodic part. Now I'm more about give me some happy stuff, give me this and that, because this actually makes sense, you know.
Right.
Like my EP itself has so many meanings behind it, many reasons why I do it, dude.
Yeah.
Like you
and people may interpret it differently.
Exactly. Well, like you could go on its own rabbit hole as its own, you know, and interpret. Like I'm telling you, bro, like it's so many reasons, but but because it gets me hyped about it and people talk about it, like it gets me more motivation to continue pursuing about it, because that means people are like, oh shit, this is how I feel, or this is how I can interpret it. This is how it is. Oh, I can see what he was going through, or whatever it is that you're thinking. Then that, you know, whatever it is. And that's the beauty about music, man. That's the beauty about music, man.
Hell yeah, I agree. I absolutely agree. You can talk to people without talking to them.
Exactly.
I feel like that's the coolest thing ever.
I agree, man. I'm gonna end this with this last question, and we can wrap it up from here, man. This is for you. Let's just say that you're walking down the streets of Sao Paulo. You know, you're chilling and whatnot. All of a sudden, a flashing light pops out of you, and you're like, what the hell is this? And then all of a sudden UFOs come out and some aliens come, and they say, yo, Zetta, we need your help, man. We need your help, because you and only you can help us with this situation, man. And you're like, let's do it. All right, let's go. And you're like,
oddly specific.
Oddly specific, you know. But they say, before you go, we don't know. We just want to let you know, we don't know how long you're gonna be helping us. So here's a piece of paper. Write 3 pieces of advice that you'll give to somebody. What are those 3 pieces of advice?
That is one good question. First one is, don't be so harsh on yourself. There is no rush for like, anything. You will have time. So being harsh on yourself only puts your like, it sets you back always. Be nice to others. I feel like that's the absolute most common sense. It's not hard to be nice. People will be nice back to you. And in the end, they will help you. Like you help them, they help you. That's how it works. And then everyone gains from it. And it sounds something that you should take for granted, but like, you even see people not being nice all the fucking time. It's like, bro, it's not that hard to be nice to people and be like kind and,
nice and humble.
That's
be
something
nice
that my
humble,
parents taught me.
Yeah.
Like, to be kind and to everyone, And third one would be I'm not sure. I feel like those two are everything I could say, but like let me think a little. More professional advice would be be careful who you work with, because in the end they can be very nice to you all the time and then turn out to be dickheads, and you gotta shield yourself for that, so that people like that will pass through your life.
Absolutely.
There's no way to avoid it.
It's
but what you can avoid is the damage that they will do to you or others. So
that's right.
Beware of that. You got to be very careful so that you don't hurt yourself or end up ruining something that you love.
I agree.
Not just work. I guess that's for everything.
No, it's definitely for everything, because everybody will have their sleazeball once in their lifetime, at least. But you're gonna definitely encounter it. But the trick to it is know the person that it is a sleazeball, determine it very quickly, and then cut that out of your life, man, because you don't need toxicity in your life, because that's
absolutely not.
No, we don't have time for that. We don't have time for that crap.
I don't have time for that. I don't have time for drama. I don't
bro. Like cut that shit out. Cut that shit out, man, because time is money. And you don't want your image to get damaged because of that. I have a few instances in which my image got damaged and I got shadow banned before I even started off. And it's all because I was hanging around with some people that they were good to me, but they were doing some other shit. Others. Yeah. And I was like, damn, I have to cut up. But because of it, that damage was done, and people were calling out at me, and I'm like, dude, I swear to God, I wasn't even part of this. I didn't even know what was going on. Yes, I was hanging with them, but I didn't know they were doing this.
Exactly.
Is
that thing, like, you can be hanging out with someone, but that doesn't mean you read every text they sent or like you listen to every word they say. It's like some people, I'm not in their lives like 24/7. They can do shit behind my back and I would never know unless it got called out. So it's that's some advice I wish I could give to my younger self. Like, be careful with people around you, especially if you have something that they want. They will try and manipulate you and be like, they will be gentle, and then they will be kind until you're no longer like useful to them. Yes. And then they instantly drop you. And that has happened to me with like people I never expected, and it hurts, and it's a shitty situation. Yeah, bro. So if I could tell myself, my younger self, that, I think I would have prevented a lot of things. But at least I can tell people watching to be careful.
Absolutely, bro, because it definitely has happened to me, and I've said it plenty of times in the podcast who the people has happened to, and guys, you just have to just don't be naive, and be aware of your surroundings most of it. You know?
Exactly.
That's the best we can give you guys. Bro, Zetta, thank you so much for coming over to the show, man. It was an honor.
Thank you for having me. Thanks a lot.
No, bro, it was an honor and privilege for you to come over to my show, man. I really enjoy having our conversation, and I learned a lot about you, man. And
man, this was really, really fun. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely, man. Whenever you won't feel like let's do another one, man, let's do it, man. Let's kick it.
Oh, hell yeah, bro.
Absolutely.
Probably after the EP is out. So
Hey,
we can have a little
let's-
more to talk about.
Absolutely. Let's make that happen, you know.
Hell yeah, dude.
Before we leave, plug yourself out. Let the people know where they can follow you and what they can expect from you in the future.
Yeah. Right now I'm working on a lot of music, and right now I'm mostly doing Patreon content,
Mhm.
and yeah, that's mostly where I'm active right now. I have a sample pack coming out actually Monday now. Yeah, tomorrow, and yeah, I'm mostly working on that, and then I'm not gonna have music out for maybe a couple more months because I'm still building my platform back up from what happened with the label. And but right now, yeah, I'm mostly active on I have loads of music on SoundCloud and Spotify. All of my social media are at Zetta Tunes, so you can find me anywhere with the same the same handle. And yeah, as soon as I have time, I will release some new music. I'm just I don't want to rush it. I want to make some of the best
Right.
work and then start releasing it. You know,
Right.
that's always how I do stuff. And but right now I'm mostly active on Patreon. I drop a lot of stuff there. Same handle as well. It's just at Zetta Tunes.
And they can follow you there for private touring sessions as well.
Yeah, absolutely. There's the higher tier, which is includes everything the other tiers include. But then there is one monthly group lesson, actually two, not one. It's just two group lessons a month. And yeah, it's a whole lot of stuff there. A whole lot more coming as well, like videos on breakdowns of my projects, exclusive tunes. Like recently I released a tune that I was never going to put out. I just put it for Patreon, which was an edit of a Hive Bounce I made by Leotrix. It's something I played a lot in my shows and it was super hype. It was sick. And then I dropped it for free on not for free, on Patreon. And I recently did a breakdown video on Voidwalker as well, really in depth, showing everything I did for the tune. I have a lot more coming up, not just music, but also industry advice. I have this sample pack coming out tomorrow, which is a pretty sick sample pack we've been working on all month. And whole lot more coming up. I'm mostly working on Patreon content right now, ever since because I was doing a lot of label work before, so I didn't have much time to do that much content. But now I don't have that, and I have time to do more stuff. So I decided to take on something different. I don't think I tried this much content before, doing all sorts of videos and all sorts of packs and all that, all the time. And it's been really fun lately. So yeah, it's all up on Patreon.
Fucking dope, man. Thank you very much, Zeta, for coming over, man.
I appreciate it, bro.
Of course, man. Of course. And thank you guys for listening. And remember, every week is a brand new episode with brand new topics. So always remember to like and subscribe for your weekly episodes at the Lone Wolv Podcast for SoundCloud, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and iHeartRadio. And of course, you can check out the video version with me talking to Zeta at youtube.com/The Lone Wolv Podcast. That's the Lone, WOLV podcast.com. You could just check it out, and you'll see all my latest episodes. You'll see us in full 3D dimension, and 4K resolution, however you want to watch us. Guys, comment down below and let me hear your thoughts. Share your experiences. If you guys got a specific topic that you want me or Zeta to talk about, please let us know in the comments down below, and we'll try to cover it on the next episode. So thank you guys for tuning in, and we'll see you guys at the next one. All right, peace.